Now you might have seen some of the pictures that we've got on Facebook and we've got on our galleries and our websites, and basically some of the lures have got two colours to them. So some of them have got like a sprayed coloured effect on the top of them, or some of them are two-tone. And there's two ways of doing it. It's really easy. I'm just going to show you the two ways of doing it within the two moulds, Crayfish and FB002 Tail Shaker. So these two are the lure moulds that we've got, and basically they're both made up in two parts. So it's a 3D lure, and both parts, you've got the bottom and the top. The lure is always upside down in the mould, so whatever colour you put in first, what I'm going to show you is going to be the top of the lure. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, if you can see the picture of the crayfish there, I'm going to have the top of the crayfish a block colour with a sprayed colour on top of it, and then the sprayed colour is going to be the colour of the fins and the claws. It looks really neat. I'm going to show you how to do it. Obviously you can just use one of these techniques if you just want one, but I'm going to do both of them in the lure to show you how they look using both the techniques. So for my white, I'm going to use warmed up milk. This gives a really nice block white colour. And then for the green, I'm just going to use the powder from the Fresh Bake here. And the great thing about this powder is, you can, usually you'd put it into the liquid and make a block colour, but what I'm going to do is take each granule and let it disperse. So what I'm going to do is put the granules in the mould, spread them out a bit, and what happens is, when you inject the gelatin, it actually, instead of blends with it into a block colour, it blends with it, say 5%, so it creates a sort of dispersed web pattern. So I'm going to take the bottom half of each mould and just place in some green powder. Don't need much. And the same with the other. And then if you take a stick, could be a cocktail stick or anything, and you just spread that around a little bit. You really don't need much, it's very, very concentrated. Okay, and then once you've done that, you need to set up the moulds. So if I set up the FB002 first, this just takes the jig head which fits into the bigger slot. So the jig head, you just put through some thread, place it into the mould, just slots in, and then place each of the threads out of there's sort of like an L bend in the back. I'll show you close up in a minute. You can see the green already starting to come out in that thread, because what I've done is I've dampened it, I've just run it under a tap. It just makes it a lot more, for say, it's not sticky, but it sticks to the mould a lot better, so it holds its place. So that's the FB002 setup. And then in the crayfish mould, there's some spikes so that the thread can wrap around in a special way. I'll just show you how to do that. So when you've put the thread in both of the moulds, what we're going to do is, this is the point when you'll close the mould and inject it if you just want one colour and then a spray pattern on top. What I'm going to do is show you the two-tone version and this in the same mould. It gives quite a nice effect. So if you take your milk that's been warmed up and your gel powder, it's always 100% that to 100%, or so 1 part jelly to 1 part liquid. So if I pour that in and then take a stirrer and just stir it, it's just going to make a block white colour. Just add a little bit more milk in there. So what you're trying to get is like a runny viscous, not like a syrup, but it's a viscous liquid, so when you try to pour it, it runs quite slowly down the side of the cup. So we're about there now, and what I'm going to do is just use the syringe without this, because this is the adapter which is just for the top of the mould, but since we're just filling up the the bodies of the moulds, we only need the big bit. So if we inject that up, and inject that into the mould, only filling up half of it, so only the sections of the body. And the same with the crayfish. So we're just filling up the body. Okay, now what we're going to do is you just close up the moulds. The moulds have got like a sort of L cut in them, so it'll cut the excess gelatin off. Don't worry if it spills over the mould or anything like that. That's fine. We're going to let that set, and then when we inject the top colour in, it should fill up the parts that are not already filled up. So what we're going to get is the claws and the legs at one colour, so we're going to make it a block green, and then the body is a white with a green splat on it. It's the same with the lure. So we'll leave them there for 5 minutes, not till they're really set, just till they're set enough to not mix in with the second colour. So now we're going to make the block colour for the rest of the lure. I'm going to make this a block green, which will be quite nice because we've got the white body, the green splat on top, and then the rest of the lure is going to be a green. So if we take the green powder again and just put a little pinch into the cup of gelatin, and then we just need some warm water just from a kettle that was boiled about 5 minutes ago. So you can see the green coming out. Now I'm just going to suck up the green and do one more at a time. So if I start off with the crayfish, so I need the adapter. So if I start off with the crayfish, all of the mods have these little wells, and that's because the gelatin contracts. So you need to fill up the wells as well just to stop the air getting back in. Move on to the larger lure. And this is the finished result. So I left these in the fridge for 15 minutes, just got to give them a little clean up. But you can see there, got like a block white with a splashed green, and then the two-tone. So you've got the light green on the bottom there, which is completely clear. So you can see that you can do that with the fish and the crayfish, not a problem. I mean, you could just use one of the techniques to do just a two-tone lure or just a splash, but they're the two finished products.